troops. So this one is for all the athletes out there. What I want to go over is the importance of understanding stress and how that's going to affect your training and your gym training, your performance or your gains. Ultimately, stress comes in three sort of categories, I suppose. You've got your physical stress, so through exercise. You've also got your emotional and your mental. So emotional being maybe you're a bit stressed out at work, maybe you're having relationship issues or financial, that kind of thing. And then there's the mental, which is the more cognitive stuff. So you could be really focused on a task. All these things are effectively forms of stress, and they're going to be depleting what I call the adaptive reserves or your battery life. And if you start taking into account how these affect you, you can effectively train better and avoid, I suppose, getting frustrated with maybe not seeing the gains, but also avoiding injury or more maybe colds and that kind of thing. So we've all been there with regards to being super stressed, and ultimately if you train super hard while you've got a stressful period, it's probably not the best thing. I'm going to go over it in a second. The way to measure it is a thing called heart rate variability, and ultimately the science is that a variable heart rate is a indication of a healthy autonomic nervous system. So what HRV or heart rate variability is the distance between these R waves. One which would be metronomic would be an indication of a low heart rate variability, and something which I won't digress into, but it's not really a good thing for longevity and your health. So yeah, just to go over one area in particular with regards to your training gains is your sleep and your rest and your recovery, and how we look at that to improve all that effort and all that hard work you're doing in the gym or outside. So sleep, it's maybe a bit of a big topic at the moment, but ultimately it's one which you need to take seriously. And I'll include rest into that as well. So that means time chilling out. This is a basic example of a subject which I tested or did a lifestyle assessment on. Ultimately, they get a questionnaire, so you get an indication of what they perceive, how they're doing. So obviously, this person really thinks they're on top of the game, and that doesn't always get reflected into actually what's going on with your physiology. And here's the example. So young guy, a fit guy, you can see, okay, just to explain here, we've got blue. So blue is an indication of aerobic activity, and the dense blue, or the darker blue, is more intense. So you can see lots of activity. The red here is ultimately a sort of sympathetic drive. So if your autonomic system is split into parasympathetic and sympathetic, parasympathetic being rest and digest, so that all that good stuff, the recovery stuff, and then the sympathetic being this maybe elevated stress response in the body, so perhaps a little bit more sort of cortisol going on there, and then the green here is the recovery. So you can see from 6 o'clock in the morning till about 6 o'clock in the morning what happened in this individual's day. And I suppose this is just a quick example of squaring away. Make sure you get your sleep sorted out and understand that during the day that you've got to try and take moments to top up your battery level or your adaptive reserves, because accumulatively, if you don't, I'll show you in a second, you'll end up getting these kind of issues, these colds or whatever it is, or just feeling crap and underperforming. In this example, you can see here that actually the individual went to bed around about 10 or just past 10, but didn't get into deep sleep or into restorative sleep rather until about, maybe 1, 1:30. So there's a lot of time here kind of spent still in a sympathetic drive. The questions we would ask here is what's happened during the day which is affecting this. And this actually happened several times. So we tested this person over 3 days, and you can see that actually with this, that it's the same. Okay, so not as much green. Maybe you'd ideally want to see little bits of green during the day, and you want to see really bang straight into the green for that rest and recovery to optimize all the stuff that you've done, all the training that you've done. And another one here, so a little bit better, but still could improve. And then there'll be signs here of coming out of that recovery mode, and the questions would be why. And without going into it in full detail, we look things at sleep hygiene. So how your approach to sleep. Are you just going straight from watching a movie straight into bed? Is the bedroom cool enough? Is it dark enough? All these little things. Are you looking at your phone? Are you looking at work emails? All these things affect how your body is, whether it's shifting into this rest and digest mode or this sympathetic drives, that fight or flight. So this is really just hopefully a quick example for you guys to think about that rest and recovery. Now, if we go to the overview of what happens, it's another day. So same thing, but if we look at, and again, same thing, so we must have tested them a bit longer. Never mind. So actually, yes, over quite a few days, 5 days. But to summarize this is the kind of thing that will happen if you're not on top of your recovery. And you can see that this level here, starting level, okay, we're going to deplete during the day. That's going to happen, especially through exercise and, being cognitively sort of switched on at work. But if the recovery isn't good enough, you're going to start the next day slightly tired, and then the next day a bit more tired, and we got a bit of sleep here, but we're still less than the day we started the assessment. And if you were to continue on this kind of path for weeks and months, that's when you're going to get issues. Now, in small sort of acute phases, that's fine. But in chronic, if this is a chronic thing, then you're going to pick up issues. I hope that clears things up. If you've got any questions, obviously just fire away. But sort out your sleep and your recovery, because that's the key to getting your gains. Don't underestimate that. And we'll go over maybe a bit more in the future.